Hello guys, and welcome back to my YouTube channel. If you're here for the first time, you're also welcome. In today's tutorial, I'm going to be teaching you guys how to make a cat ear beanie. Please do not forget to subscribe to my YouTube channel and turn on the notification bell so you can get notified when I post a new video. For this project, I'll be using a 3.5mm crochet hook, and you can go on to use a 4mm if you wish, and then you need your pair of scissors, and you're also going to need the yarns you want to use for your project. I'm going to be using a 3-ply baby lamb yarn for this project, and I'll be using double strand. So you can go on to use 100 gram, you can use a 50 gram milk cotton yarn for this project. Depends on what you want and the kind of texture you want. So I want mine to be thick, and that's why I'm using double strand, and that's the reason I'm also going with a 3.5mm hook, so it's going to be firm. So you can go ahead and use a 4mm hook, you can go ahead and use a 4.5mm hook. So to begin this beanie, you're going to decide how big or how small you want it to be. I couldn't find my tape, so that's why my tape is not on this tutorial. But first thing you need to do is take a measurement of your client's skull, or a measurement of your skull, because that's what you're going to be working with. So for my own beanie, I'm going to be working straight. I won't be working up and down. I don't know if you get me. I'm going to be working straight back and forth. So I'm going to make a long chain that goes around my head, and I made a total of 90 chains for my head. I have a small skull, so you can go on and chain more, or you can chain less. So I made my 90 chains here, and I try to make it equal before I joined them together. So make sure you get both ends to be straight, and then you're going to have to join with a slip stitch on the very first chain you made at the beginning. So you're going to measure it. Once you have the accurate measurement of your client or of yourself, then you just have to slip stitch at the beginning of the chain, and you're going to move on to the next row. So I'm going to be making mine like this. Some persons can decide to work back and forth and then sew at the end of the whole project, but I'm going to be slipping stitch and joining mine as I work, and I'm going to be working in rounds. So in order to make this project, you can decide to use any stitch at all, ranging from the double crochet, half double crochet, and single crochet stitch. So for me, I'm going to be using a double crochet stitch for my own beanie. And first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to chain up one, and then I'm going to make my first double crochet on the very spot where I did my slip stitch. So if you're using a double crochet like myself, you're just going to make a chain of one, or you make a chain of 3. It all depends. If you're making a chain of 3, you know your 3 chains count as one double crochet. But for me here, I am making a chain of 1, and I'm going to make 1 double crochet on the very spot where I did my slip stitch before, and I'm going to make a double crochet all the way around this chain I did before, and I'm going to meet you back once I get to the very last point where I am going to move to the next row. So I just got to the very point where I made my first slip stitch before, and I have just 2 more double crochets to make to end this row. And after making my 2 more double crochets, I am going to slip stitch on the very top of the first double crochet I made before. So once I have done my slip stitch, once you've done your slip stitch on this very part, you're just going to chain up 1 again, and then make another double crochet on that very spot. As you can see how it's looking like you're making a skirt or you're making a short. This is the right side, and the other side is the wrong side of it. That's the back. So chain up 1, make 1 double crochet in the very place where you made your slip stitch, and you're going to make a double crochet all around until you get back to this very point. So guys, don't forget to subscribe to my YouTube channel, turn on the notification bell so you get notified whenever I post a new video. And don't forget to share this video with your friends, drop a comment and tell me what you think about my tutorials. So I got back to the end of this row and I'm going to do the same thing I did previously. I'm going to slip stitch into the top of the previous double crochet. I'm going to chain up one. Don't forget to go to the next row. You're either chaining up one or you're chaining up three, depends on how you started yours. But if you're doing exactly what I'm doing, then you're just going to chain up one and make one double crochet on the very spot where you made your slip stitch before. So I'm going to go ahead and repeat this pattern until I get to the very length where I want my beanie to stop, and I'm going to meet you back when I have all my rows complete and we're going to move over to the next step. So guys, I finished up to the very point where I want my beanie to stop, and I used up 2 balls of this yarn for this beanie. So this is the last part of the last ball. So I'm just going to chain up one and draw this part of the yarn out and do the sewing. So this is the wrong side of it where we are going to be sewing from, and we're going to sew from this end to the other end using the tail that's remaining from the ball of yarn that we used. So we're just going to attach our yarn into the needle, and we're going to sew from this point to this point. So if you don't have a yarn needle and you have your hook, you can also use your hook to sew using a slip stitch to sew both ends or both sides together. So after getting your yarn through your needle, all you have to do now is sew from one side to the other side. So when you look at your project, you're going to notice that it has this weaving look. So you're just going to pick one side and pick the other side and sew them together. So I try to pick mine from inside, so it's going to look very not really bulky when I sew, and it's going to look very nice. So I picked the 2 inner stitches from the weaving part of the sides. So when you pick them out, you pick from here and you pick from the other side and you sew them together just like I am doing here. So if you're also using your hook to slip stitch, you're just going to pick the same sides and slip stitch through the end. So you're just going to do this from this part to the very last part. So this was how it looks like after I was done sewing. I just had the very last stitch to sew in together. So you're just going to do this and make sure you have a very firm grip. Tighten your stitches, your sewing, make sure it doesn't loosen while you're trying to fit your beanie. So do well to tie properly and hide your excess yarn before cutting them off. I like my projects always firm, so I decided to use my hook to pull out the loop from under my sewing and then tie again firmly. So you can also do this to avoid having loose ends later. So after tying properly like this, you cut off and then you can just bond those ends and have a perfect and a nice finishing touch. So this is how it looks like after sewing. This is for the right side. Looks like very nice and amazing, and I hope you like it. So we're going to just go down to doing a fitting of the hat. So for some persons who do not want their hats to flip back again, you can decide to use this use a yarn to tie the folded parts together so it doesn't go undone again. So it's going to remain like that permanently. That's if you want it that way. You can also leave it and style it whichever way you want to style your hat or your beanie. So guys, don't forget to like my video, share with your friends, and do want to subscribe to my channel and turn on the notification bell so you get notified when I drop more tutorial videos. So this is what the finished beanie looks like, and I decided to try it on after I was done, and the fitting was nice. Thank you guys for watching. So if you find this video helpful, don't forget to subscribe. See you guys in my next video. Bye.